Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favourite Kurt Russell movies. Kurt Russell is an actor I just absolutely love whenever he's in a movie, no matter how big or small his role is. I just have a fantastic time when he's on screen. Watching him, he's just one of my favourite actors. So yeah, that being said, before I get into the main top 10 choices I've picked, I'm going to rattle off some honourable mentions. So, first one I want to give a shout out to is Death Proof. Not one of my favourite movies, but Kurt Russell's definitely a selling point of that film for me. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I know he has a small role in that film, but he's great in it. The Disney movie Miracle, I think is fantastic, about the ice hockey team. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a lot of fun. John Carpenter's Elvis movie, I think, is great. He's absolutely superb in that. Of course, the Disney movie, the animated movie, The Fox and the Hound. I think he does some great voiceover work in that film. Mark Wahlberg as well, Deepwater Horizon. I think that's a great film that the two of them worked on. Silkwood with Meryl Streep and Cher, I think is a great film. Bone Tomahawk, which is slow burn, but that last act is just so incredibly violent. I think that's a great film. Going Overboard with Goldie Hawn, it's a lot of fun. Roland Emmerich's Stargate from the early 90s, I think, is a great sci-fi movie with Kurt Russell. Backdraft by Ron Howard. I know a lot of people love that movie. It's not one of my favourites, that's why it's probably an honourable mention, but yeah, it's still a good film. Dark Blue, off the Arrow label, I think is a good movie. Tequila Sunrise with Michelle Pfeiffer and Mel Gibson, I think it's a fun film. One I'm not too big on, but I still have included it on this list, is Soldier. The movie didn't really do much for me, but I know it's got its fans. And same can be said for Captain Ron, but I think Martin Short and Kurt Russell are the selling point of that film, and they just make it a lot of fun. So yeah, those are all my honourable mentions. So I'm going to kick it off with number 10, which is a Tarantino movie. And the 10th place goes to The Hateful Eight. This is a wonderful western. I really dig this movie. I think it's got some fantastic dialogue in it, great cast of characters, and of course Kurt Russell as well. He's just absolutely superb playing this guy who's bringing in Jennifer Jason's lead character, but they have to all sort of hold up in this little shack due to the weather, and this whole escapade of mistrust ensues, and it is just wonderful. As I said, the dialogue is the driving force of this movie as well as its cast, and it's just superb from start to finish, and I just have a wonderful time with The Hateful Eight. I think it's great. So yeah, that's why it's my number 10 pick. So that is The Hateful Eight. So coming in at number 9 for me is a Robert Zemeckis movie. Now, this movie doesn't really get talked about a whole lot, but I really dig this film and I think it's great. So yeah, we're going with Used Cars at number 9. So yeah, very simple premise to this movie, about sort of these two different car salesmen who are operating on opposite sides of this road, and one is very by the book numbers when it comes to selling used cars, and Kurt Russell's character is this up and coming sort of, unconventional salesman who does things very sort of against the grain, and it's just about these two car companies just going head to head all the time. They're at each other's throats, and it's just a wonderful fun film, and I just really dig it. It's a great Zemeckis movie, it's a great Kurt Russell movie, and I just have a fun time with it. So yeah, that is my number 9 pick, Used Cars. So coming in at number 8 for me, well, number 8 and 7, now I am a physical media collector, and these next two picks come in box sets that are dedicated to different actors. So yeah, it's just when I hold these up, these are not gonna scream Kurt Russell, shall we say, these box sets. So the first one I'm gonna go with is actually the movie I first saw Kurt Russell in. This was the movie that brought him to my attention, and it of course comes in a box set dedicated to Steven Seagal, and it's gonna be Executive Decision. I remember seeing adverts for this on TV when it was going to be broadcast on ITV, and the build up to it was great in my opinion. I just loved the way ITV had sort of edited these segments together of this film, and I was so looking forward to it. I was so looking forward to checking it out. I remember seeing these segments and thinking Kurt Russell just looks like such a boss actor. Like, I just really, really want to check this movie out, and it just blew me away. I had such a great time with it. Reflecting back on it, it's not the best movie ever, but my word, is it enjoyable. Such a great cast of characters as well, like David Suchet and Halle Berry. And Kurt Russell is just great in the movie. It is obviously in this box set because Steven Seagal is in the movie, but not for very long. But yeah, it's such a wonderful, wonderful film, Executive Decision. And it holds a soft spot in my heart for it just because it was the first Kurt Russell film I ever saw. So yeah, that is my number 8 pick, Executive Decision. So coming in at number 7 is again another movie from another box set dedicated to a different actor. But yeah, Kurt Russell in this movie has such great chemistry with the other lead of Sylvester Stallone in this movie. So yeah, coming in at number 7 is Tango and Cash, which is obviously in this Stallone box set. And yeah, these two characters have such great chemistry together. And kind of similar to Used Cars, it's about two cops doing the same job but both have different approaches. That's where the similarity ends with Used Cars. But yeah, it's such a great little action movie that I just adore, with a great cast of characters. And yeah, it's just pretty much these two cops do their job so well, and Jack Palance, who is the top criminal, is pretty much like fed up with these two cops, and they end up obviously framing them and going to prison, where they actually put a lot of the prisoners away, and just chaos absolutely ensues. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful film. I dig it. It's one of my favourite action movies. I just love it. I have such a great time with it as well. Terry Hatcher as well as Stallone's sister is great. Leads to a lot of comedy between her and Kurt Russell, which is just great. And I have a good time with this movie. I had the VHS and I used to watch it all the time as a kid. I just love Tango and Cash. I just think it's great. So yeah, that is my number 7 pick, Tango and Cash. So coming in at number 6, we've got Fabulous Western, which I just adore this movie. Had it on DVD and had to upgrade it to Blu-ray. We're going with Tombstone. Absolutely wonderful cast in this movie. You know, Kurt Russell, of course, Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, Powers Booth, Val Kilmer. Too many actors in this movie, but it's great. I'm not complaining at all. It is just a wonderful, wonderful movie. I dig it. It probably has the best use of a no screen in it from Kurt Russell. It's just so good. And yeah, I just dig this Western from start to finish. It's just superb. If you've not seen it, check it out. It's awesome. Love Tombstone. So yeah. So coming up next at number 5, I'm going with another movie I think that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot, and I have a great time with this film. It does have some uncomfortable scenes in it for me, just on a psychological level. But yeah, at number 5 we've got Unlawful Entry, which stars Kurt Russell and the late great Ray Liotta. And the premise of this is very simple. It's sort of about Kurt Russell and his wife, and someone breaks into their home to burgle them, and it just causes them to, you know, be really, really shaken and upset by this. So Ray Liotta, who plays one of the policemen who turns up at the scene after the burglaries happened, offers to sort of upgrade their security and sort of really like show them how to protect their home so this doesn't happen again. And Ray Liotta's character becomes very, very close to these two people, and it just gets really uncomfortable and it escalates in a way you wouldn't think, and it's just really, really unsettling. There's a scene in particular where Ray Liotta captures the guy who initially broke in, and he says to Kurt Russell, you know, you can do to him what you want, I'll look the other way. I've done this for you. And Kurt Russell just doesn't want to have anything to do with it, and it's just really, really upsetting and really, really, you know, it hits a chord with you. It's just really, really creepy, and you know, it's just a testament to the actors in this film. But it's such an underrated gem, Unlawful Entry, and I have such a great time with it. So yeah, that is my number 5 pick, Unlawful Entry. So coming in at number 4 for me is again another movie. It probably gets talked about a bit more than Unlawful Entry, but I still think it doesn't get talked about enough. And we're going with Breakdown. This movie's fucking awesome. I love this movie. It's just absolutely wonderful with its premise. You know, about Kurt Russell and his wife who are going on this road trip, and the car breaks down, and it just has some really, really suspenseful stuff in it. His wife ends up getting in this truck with this other guy, going to like the nearest diner to get some help, and she never is seen again, and it just leads to some absolutely wonderfully tense scenes in this movie. Without going into spoilers, it's just great. The setup is absolutely fantastic. Cast of characters is great as well, and I can't really say much more about it than that, because it's one of these movies you're just best going into knowing as little as possible. It's superb. So yeah, coming at number 4, Breakdown. So that leads us with the top 3. Now, spoilers ahead. These are all 3 movies that are directed by John Carpenter, and these are just the movies I gel with the most when it comes to Kurt Russell. And I must say, these 3 just really, really do display what a great partnership Carpenter and Russell have, you know, as a director and actor. And I have such a great time with these movies. So yeah, coming in at number 3 for me is Big Trouble in Little China. Jack Burton, wonderful, wonderful character in this movie, who is such a big shot but doesn't really get to do anything in this movie, shall we say. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the sidekick is basically the hero of the movie. But yeah, it's just a wonderful, wonderful creative explosion, this movie. It just you know, absolutely delivers in terms of the creative realm. It's just absolutely wonderful. It's colourful. Its characters are great. The set pieces in this are absolutely phenomenal. The third act of the movie is just one of the best ever. It is just so entertaining and ticks all the boxes for me, and it's just absolutely great. The only reason why it's number 3 for me is because I just don't really have the nostalgia for this movie. You know, looking through it, you know, without nostalgia glasses, shall I say, as an adult, because I only really saw this movie for the first time about 6-7 years ago, and it gets better on rewatch as well. But I'd say this is still a very, very competent movie. I think the more movies you see, the more movies you can build a platform to say, you know, which movies show competency and which ones don't. And this definitely is one. You know, it's so creative, but you know, I don't expect to sit down and watch this movie and expect, you know, like Citizen Kane or The Godfather or anything like that. But you know, why can't this movie be the best Big Trouble in Little China that it can be? And it does. It's so entertaining. It really, really does do that. And yeah, I just have an absolutely fantastic, fantastic time with it. So yeah, that's my number 3 pick, Big Trouble in Little China. So coming at number 2 is, like I said, another John Carpenter movie. So we're going with Escape from New York. This is just great. I love this film. It's wonderful. Such a simple and genius premise, and I just dig it so much. You know, Snake Plissken been brought in to rescue the president. He's been kidnapped and forced to land in New York, which has now become, you know, this high security prison. And he's sort of blackmailed, shall we say, by the government, say, you know, go and get the president out or we won't kill you. And it's just, that is it. That is the movie, and it's just great. I recently watched the In Search of Tomorrow documentary, and there was a segment with John Carpenter, and he said, you know, out of a fight, who would win, Jack Burton, Snake Plissken, or MacReady? And John Carpenter simply said Snake Plissken, and he was asked why, and he just went, because he's a badass. That's all that needs to be said. Yeah, and it's just such a fantastic, fantastic film with a great simple premise. So yeah, that is my number 2 pick, Escape from New York. So coming in at number 1, of course, another Carpenter movie, and we're going with Other Thing, MacReady. Just what a great leadership role for Kurt Russell to sink his teeth into in this film. I absolutely love it. One of the best movies ever about paranoia, and one of the best special effects movies you'll ever see. They still hold up 40 years later. It is just wonderful, wonderful, this movie, in sort of every aspect, shall we say. Maybe some of the effects have got cracks, but to have cracks 40 years later is still an absolutely phenomenal achievement. And it's just, yeah, it's wonderful, this movie. It's just superb. It's one of the most frightening movies as well. If you see this movie as a kid, the effects in it are just top notch. But yeah, as this is a Kurt Russell video, back to Kurt Russell. He is great in this role, taking charge of this horrible, horrible situation that's happening, where this crew just has this absolute horrible situation dumped on their laps, and Snake Plissken, MacReady, takes charge and just shows what he's capable of in this movie. The blood test scene is great. It just shows him with his leadership skills and how he's just, takes charge in this movie. He's just such a badass with a flamethrower in this film. And yeah, I just have a great time with it. It is just phenomenal. The whole sequence at the beginning for me, which foreshadows the whole entire movie, is the chess sequence. He's in this situation where he can't win, so what does he do? He pours his drink into the computer, lighting it on fire, and that's what he does with the alien in this movie. He can't win, so he just lights the fucker on fire, and it's just fantastic foreshadowing for me, and I love this movie. I just think it's great. So yeah, that's my number 1 pick, The Thing. So yeah, those are my top 10 favourite Kurt Russell movies, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to say stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.